Okay, Mr. Luna has told us that he's fixed the hookup, so we have closed the workshop portion of our workshop special meeting. We're now in the open meeting portion of the special meeting. And just a quick glance at the agenda, you'll notice that we don't come to any items until agenda item 10. There are a couple things under the consent agenda. It's under 10F, purchase order over $25,000. First one being consideration to approve purchase order over $25,000 to Worth Avenue Group in the amount of $80,000, $80,522 for insurance coverage for Kuno devices at Del Rio Middle School. There's actually, I guess, 4 or 5 items. We can dispense with them quickly. We can go through each one, see if there are questions or discussion, and vote. I know they're under consent, but as it pleases. There's at least one on there I would like to discuss and vote separately. But you want to just go through them? There's just 5 items. Go through them individually. Okay. So on that first one, is Mr. Casillas here? Is he going to answer questions, or will somebody answer for him?
I'll answer, and Dr. Garza will answer.
Okay. All right. So on F1, are there questions on that item?
Yeah, can I do?
She wants to step down right now. It's a lot. No,
I don't. It's if you think about it, the device being $1,000.
Here's Ms. Valdez. There's a question about agenda item F1, the cost, and if it's yearly.
Oh, on the Kuno devices, yes. Ever since we started with the TIPS grant, it's been approximately $80,000 each year. And last year when we not last year, but in April when we presented the 5-year technology plan, we included that in there since the TIPS funding will end, where we would continue purchasing the insurance for the Kuno devices at Del Rio Middle School.
I mean, at one point, are these Kuno devices, we buy new ones every year?
I believe it's like a 10% replacement because we have very little on year 4, or what they call model 4.
Do you know how many devices we have?
Yes, there's over 2,100 devices, and there's 323 that are the newer model, which within the last 2 years, which was year 2 of the TIPS grant, and then this last year, whatever they needed to replace, they've been purchasing that, I think it's called Kuno 4 tablet.
I'm sorry, just, do you know, can you inform us on the cost of per device? Is it $300, $400, $500?
Oh, you mean how much each device costs?
As we're buying them?
Oh, I can't remember right now.
I'm just trying to make the point that $80,000 really would only buy us about 80 to 160 devices versus insuring 2,000 devices.
I just want to know how long is there a warranty or guarantee for a year on each device? So, you know how.
Do we need insurance if there's a warranty? That's what you're asking, right?
The devices, I mean, the warranty, from my understanding on the Kunos, is just not if it's damaged, just what would be considered if the device itself had a, I guess, manufacturer's issue. But the insurance that we have mainly is for damage.
Oh, it's to replace them for damage.
Yes, it's to replace them for damage. Yes.
That says it all. Thank you.
Other questions? Is she going to read the recommendation? Yes, Mr. Mesa has a question.
No, I had a question on the alternative certification.
No, I think we're going to do each one quickly because there are some questions. So we'll take them individually. So, Ms. Valdez, the recommendation, yeah, for that first one, this is for F1.
Yes. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the payment of purchase order over $25,000 to Worth Avenue Group in the amount of $80,522.
Okay, we've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to accept? Mr. Chavita's motion, Mr. Mesa is second. All in favor by a show of hands? It's unanimous. Motion carries. Okay, agenda item F2, consideration of approved purchase order over $25,000 to Region 4 in the amount of $80,800 for principal alternative certification program. Mr. Mess, I think you had a question on that
Yes.
one?
So it will not be the regular, route for these individuals to get their certification in mid-management?
These individuals in this program, we have two different cohorts going. One is going through the master's program, through the standard Sol Ross program. And then another group is people who mainly already have a master's, whether it be in counseling or curriculum, and they just need the coursework for the certification, and Region 4 has proven to be affordable and successful in getting them certified. They're still required to do pretty much the same thing, but it's mainly online. It's just not seat work. It's not face-to-face work. It's an online program. But they still do the practicum. They still do all the traditional things involved with the program.
Has that been successful with other districts that you know of?
Region 4, yes. There's been, Region 20 and Region 4 have had good alternative certification programs that I'm aware of. I'm sure there's others in the region. Those are the two that I'm aware of. Now, I can't tell you, Mr. Mesa, that we have any here in the district. I'm not aware, but I just know that those two regions have had a lot of success. And Ms. Garcia researched it. She could add more.
We do have some. Mrs. Billings, who is the assistant principal at Buena Vista, she went through the ACP program through Region 4. We have Mrs. Langton, who is a teacher at North Heights, who's almost done with that one as well. So we do have experience with them. Region 15 is also partnering with Region 4, and they're going to be coming here to supervise the candidates as well.
So-
Everything's online then, pretty much.
So what's the timeline? Like, if I'm one of these people and I start next month, I'll be done in approximately what?
Well, they do have, according to Region 4, they can finish in 1 year, but they don't have to. It's really on their pace, but they do have to finish it within the 2 years.
Within 2 years? Okay.
But they can finish it, if they go at the pace that they're supposed to, then they can finish it within the first year.
And what was the total cost again? Is it on here?
$80,800.
Just a reminder, Mr. President, this is from the
Grant?
the EIP grant.
And it's $5,300 per person,
Okay.
Per person per year or for the entire program?
for the entire program.
Other questions? No? Okay, the recommendation on this one?
It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the payment of the purchase order over $25,000 with Region 4 in the amount of $80,800.
Okay, we've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to accept? Ms. Lozano has motioned. Is there a second? Mr. Chavita is second. All in favor by a show of hands? It's unanimous. Motion carries. That brings us to agenda item F3, consideration to approve purchase order over $25,000 to Dell in the amount of $55,094.34 for elementary non-core teaching staff devices. So, questions?
Can you identify non-core teaching staff devices?
That's like our fine arts, special ed, because we purchased, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I think you're doing
Yes,
fine.
we, last board meeting, we submitted a purchase order for all the core area teachers. So we didn't have enough for the special ed teachers, fine arts. So the PE also, we wanted to make sure that everybody would get a computer.
And when would they start getting them, like the one that we approved a couple weeks ago and this one? I mean, what's the turnaround?
Our goal is to have these received, processed, and installed by January. And I've informed the Chief Technology Officer that if necessary, to identify some individuals who would be willing to work overtime over the holidays. If you remember, I visited the elementary campuses, and this was clearly one of the areas that was identified. We can't wait for the summer. We need it now. So that's what it is.
Any other questions? Okay, the recommendation?
It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the payment of a purchase order for $25,000 with Dell in the amount of $55,094.34.
Okay, we've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion? Mr. Mesa has motion to accept. Mr. Chavita has second. All in favor by a show of hands. It's unanimous. Motion carries. And then agenda item G1, contracts over 5,000. Consideration to approve contract with Dr. Bertice Berry in the amount of $12,000 for 2015-16 convocation speaker. I have a question. What do we normally spend on a convocation speaker?
I believe, this last year, we brought, a gentleman, from Canada, and, was he $7,000?
$7,000.
This speaker is, I would say a little bit higher, but it is a speaker on the national circuit, who is gonna be both, inspiring, motivational, and entertaining. I mean, they're very special television figures.
Mr. Mesa?
We were present for the general session. Yeah, she's very well worth the amount. She's the inspiration, at the least.
Dr. Keys?
How long will she work for? How long will her presentation be? Like 1 hour, 2 hours? So we're paying her $12,000 for 1 hour, which is 25% of our cost for the non-stat teaching devices, non-core teaching staff devices, which is $55,000. And we're paying this person $12,000 for 1 hour work. You know, I just have trouble digesting that.
Ready for the recommendation? Dr. Rios wants to add something.
It is a lot of money, Dr. Keys. I understand that. But I think that if we divide the cost per teacher, per person that's gonna see it, and we look at it as an investment of approximately $10 in each individual, at least that's the way I came to terms with it. Investing about $10 on each individual to motivate and inspire them as we start the school year. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making the recommendation. It's a $10 investment on each one of our employees, at most. But obviously, we'll do the wishes of the board.
Do we do assessment of any type of the people who experience the convocation activities?
Like evaluation?
Yeah, whether or not they felt they were effective.
Yes, but if they did an evaluation of the whole thing, I don't think that we've done it as the one speaker.
There's a question, what is a highlight, like, the general sessions and comments, and then later on we get the results from class B? But there is an area in the evaluation, which was the most outstanding general session.
Oh, no, I meant from our convocation. In other words,
Yes.
what we do for the instructional staff and the support staff every year, do we evaluate that as far as what's effective or what they feel is effective or worthwhile?
They go back to the campuses and they fill out an evaluation.
Okay.
It's given to them there at the convocation, and then the principals pick them up and give them to Mrs. Brown.
Okay.
And
Other
I
question?
I'm sorry,
Go
I just
ahead.
bring up this point, because I remember a couple years back, a keynote speaker at one of our, was a ventriloquist. I was like, God, here's Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy on here, you know? And I'm like, how serious can we take a dummy talking motivational to our teachers? Like, I don't know. I'm sorry, that's my personal opinion.
Anything else? Okay, the recommendation?
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the superintendent to sign the contract of services with Dr. Bertice Berry in the amount of $12,000.
Heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to accept? Ms. Lozano has motion. Mr. Mesa has second. All in favor by a show of hands? 1, 2, 3, 4. All opposed? 2 opposed. Motion carries. That brings us to agenda item 11, citizens to be heard. I think all the citizens left? Did anybody? Anybody sign? Well, I mean, no one signed up, Ms. Falcone?
They went to the new attendance zone.
Okay. And quickly at the agenda, there are no other items for discussion or action. So that brings us to 21, adjournment. Being no further business, there a motion to adjourn. Ms. Lozano has motion. Is there a second? Mr. Mesa has second. All in favor by a show of hands? That's unanimous. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.